When we talk about subjective and objective morality, subjective objective truth,
not talking about
no,
morality, I
about
was
truth,
talking
about
about-
truth. Either things are subjective, or there is an objective reality to this. It's a binary question.
Well, I said to you about the probability of something happening. Then that makes this objective reality because there's a probability of something occurring.
So the truth is relative.
I said before to the gentleman over here that in different societies you're gonna have different truth.
That's what it means by relative. So it's subjective
Yeah.
and relative. So there is no such thing as objective truth. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, I was saying
Because
that before.
depending on societal context, time and place, truth can be different.
Yes.
What is truth?
What do you mean by this question? What is truth? We were just talking about truth for like half an hour.
Yeah, what is it?
Can I step in?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't really believe that something.
Yeah,
like
what is truth?
exists.
Truth is a collective agreement by the community to an end product based on the values previous to that discussion.
Yes,
So
but
to give you an
probability is
example,
the
to give you an
truth.
example,
If something
if I don't believe this world doesn't exist, it's an illusion, and you believe it exists,
No, no,
you-
not me or
No,
you.
no, he's just giving you
Let me
example.
finish. It's about the community.
that's
the
what I'm
community.
saying. If
So
a
that's-
community of people believe the world exists,
Yes.
and I believe the world doesn't exist, where's the truth? It goes against with the community, right?
It's with the community. So that's why, for example.
that what you're saying?
That's why, for example, there are so many different Muslim interpretations of the Quran, because truth.
Do
is
you agree
relative.
with this definition of truth?
I don't believe in truth being a thing at all. I don't believe there is such a thing as
So
truth.
what is it?
There
then?
is no
so what is
objective.
it? So what is
It's
truth?
an agreement.
Truth is an agreement.
It's my agreement with you that your eyes are green and not red. I mean, it just.
So if I agree, if
Brilliant.
if say a community of people agree, that makes it true.
Yeah, basically.
So if
That's exactly why I said
if
if you move to a different society, the
if a community of people agree now today, the French are very bad people, it makes it true they're very bad people.
to that society, yeah. And
Yes.
and different society, a French society could have a different
Because
truth.
truth is an
So one can be easily confused by saying, you know what, truth is relative to what this community of people think, but it's not true to me.
If you were raised
So what is true to you?
No, listen. If you were raised in Nazi Germany, you would believe the truth is that Jews are bad. It's very
So-
unlikely, and Jordan Peterson proved that in some sort of discussions, it's very unlikely that you would believe differently. So your truth is literally based on where you live, where you're from, who raised you, etc. If truth is to be something that is marinated in your head and then pops up and all of a sudden it's true because you have this confirmation bias from your society, then there is no such a thing as truth,
Okay,
really.
let me give you an example to illustrate what I'm saying. If a large community of people consider God exists, then it's true that God exists. Is that what you're saying?
Within that society, yeah.
Yeah. So if everyone decides now, we do not exist, it means we do not exist.
That means
That's
that
the
this
truth.
is your truth.
So the reality,
I can disagree or agree or
so
whatever.
so the reality can be based on people's thoughts about what they think is true, or it could be independent of them. Is that right?
Reality is...
Does this cosmos exist?
Reality is your experience
Okay.
of what reality is.
Does this cosmos
The
exist?
person with the schizophrenia will have a completely different
Okay.
reality. They will have hallucinations.
Let's go back
and that
to-
will be their reality.
I wanna
So
illustrate with this
reality
example of the
is
cosmos.
subjective too.
Okay. Do we see the cosmos in existence?
I guess I don't see
Yeah.
much.
The world
beyond
around
the
us, right?
stars, yeah.
Existence. Now suppose all of us agree that this is non-existent. Is that the reality?
I guess so.
But the reality is it exists.
Reality is subjective.
Independent of our subjective opinions about it.
No, So we agree it exists.
No, we agree it doesn't exist.
No, what we agree.
If we agree it doesn't exist, does it make it non-existent?
What we're saying, what you're confusing here.
Let me clarify my question. If we all agree it doesn't exist, does it make it non-existent?
What you're confusing here is the fact we all agree it exists.
No,
but
you
let me
misunderstand.
finish. Let me finish.
So you misunderstand my question.
Let me finish.
My question is, if you all agree
But
we
your
do not
agreement
exist,
of
does
how
it make it
it
non-existent? Is my question.
What the difference is what we agree. Our difference is how we agree it came to be and how it exists.
You don't understand my question.
And
my
that
position.
determines
Maybe I can ask you again.
reason or logic.
You misunderstood my question.
You didn't
If
hear
we
me,
all
Stanley.
agree
Yeah.
that nothing exists, we don't exist.
Well, you already asked me this question. I
Now,
already answered that.
now, does it make it non-existent?
Yeah, in your purview.
In reality? In reality?
We're talking about
Does it make it non-existent in reality? The truth?
You are the only.
been
Imagine you are the only camera observing something happening. Then you are the only camera. If you switch off the camera, then nothing that the camera sees will exist. So if you died tomorrow
The
and
illustration that I gave, if all of us agree that we are non-existent, the reality is what I'm asking you. Is their existence in reality, not what we thought and we agreed upon?
I don't think there is an objective reality.
I ask you that.
There are human beings that by genetics
I only
are
asked you.
created to perceive reality in particular schematic way, and then they view it.
See, if
I
we
don't
all
believe
agree,
that. For example, if you ask me, do I believe there is a fifth or sixth or seventh dimension, but we don't view it? Yeah, if you can prove there is, then there is. But I cannot see
my
it.
simple illustration was of the existence all around us. The fact that
You basically asking me
the fact
is it
that
objective, and I
the
say
fact
there is
that
no such a thing.
the fact that you and I are speaking to each other is because we consider each other as existent. Now suppose we all agreed for whatever reason that we do not exist. Does that make us non-existent in reality?
Only if you agree with it.
But you said truth is.
In reality.
But there is no community that would think that for.
What is the answer, sorry?
There will be
If you
always somebody that would
decide
say,
that you
"I
don't
think
exist,
reality
then I
does
guess you
exist."
don't. I mean, I have nothing else to tell you. I asked you a question.
But you know very well in reality
Very clearly.
we exist. Doesn't matter whether this person or you or me decide that we don't. The reality is independent of our opinions. I may believe there's a tree there, or I may believe the tree is not there. The tree is independent of my belief.
Because you
The tree
base,
exists independent of me.
you base on an idea that there's an absolute truth. I don't believe.
I've just
that-
demonstrated there is. So you are saying if we all agree that we are non-existent, in reality that makes us non-existent.
Pretty much.
And yet we are talking.
Because no one agrees on what you said.
Two non-existent beings are talking.
I didn't say I don't exist,
But if we agree that we don't,
but I didn't agree with you.
what if people do? Because your definition of truth was agreement. If people agree. Suppose we agreed. We gave you money and you agreed.
Did he agreed I don't exist?
Imagine,
Or
imagine
is he
we
in
paid
his
him.
brain
We paid him.
talking to you?
I paid you
And that
for the
calls
sake
me
of
a
argument.
non-existent.
And then you agreed. So yeah, we don't exist. Our agreement doesn't make it reality. Our reality is independent of what we think. If I think that tree is existent or not, the tree exists independent of my thinking.
So I had this question prior. How do you explain higher dimensions?
What dimensions?
Just higher dimensions.
No.
There's three-dimensional space, right?
Yeah.
Then there's time. We live in that sort of part of what is possible, right? So how do you explain dimensions that you cannot perceive?
We can only talk about dimensions that we know of.
So your purview is restricted, right? So you have to agree,
We have to
or you
operate.
to be-
We have to operate in this world with the rational faculty that we have, with the tools that we have, to discuss things rationally and logically. I cannot just simply say, "Oh, a triangular circle or a squared circle exists somewhere else," because in our reality it doesn't exist. So I have to operate with this kind of rational understanding in this reality.
Perfect circles don't exist. It's the opposite.
Triangular square?
Perfect circle, for example,
say
don't
perfect.
exist, right? Or
Triangular
perfect
circle.
square or perfect triangle. That's trigonometry and
Triangular circle?
geometry.
Triangular
I'm
square?
saying what you're talking about was invented by humans.
No, I'm
That's
talking
not
about
invented by nature.
there are things that we operate because of our rational faculties.
No, because you called something to be this or that. The tree is a tree.
Do you live
because
your life according to certain principles, logic and rationality? Of course you do.
Yeah.
So that's what we operate our lives and our understanding of reality on. Our reality.
Your agreement on what reality is.
So if I agree God exists because of my agreement, right?
To you, yeah.
No, to you as well, because I agree God exists. It must
You
be.
didn't agree with me. I don't agree that God exists.
Then basically it has nothing to do with truth. It is just simply my word play. Oh, I think I am the president. Okay, I am the president of
Yeah, but
you know,
we're talking
Zamunda.
about God,
Does it make
right?
me a president?
He's
Because I
talking
think so.
conversation about God and purpose. So how do you recall to materialistic, factual, tree is a tree to a God is a God when you cannot perceive God really? So
What is
like,
God?
how
What
does
is God?
something that was invented by people to cheer themselves up, to reinforce their own grandiosity?
Okay.
That's God.
And what is the qualities of God people are giving?
It's a magical father there in the sky.
I don't call him the Father.
That
I don't call him the Father.
well, different religions call it the father, different religions.
I don't.
call
I
it-
don't.
Well, you don't have to. I'm just saying. in
So your
general,
understanding of God
right?
comes from a belief system in
I
which they
don't
call him.
understand God. I'm not pretending I do, and I'm not interested in trying to understand God because I don't believe He exists.
And what's your reason for that?
My choice.
Choice.
There is no other reason
Okay.
besides that
If I
chose
choose to believe
it
that
is
you don't
not-
exist, you don't exist. It's my
I don't
choice,
have
right?
to insist to you.
No. If I don't believe you exist because of my choice, you don't exist.
Well, maybe He believes I exist.
No, I don't. So you don't
Maybe he
exist, right?
believes-
I just want to understand the.
To you, no.
I want to understand the rationality, the logic that you're using. So if I choose not to believe that you exist, it makes you non-existent.
But we are talking about God, and you're talking about rationality. So I don't.
I asked you the
understand how
reason
things
why
connect.
the reasons of non-belief in God. You said choice.
Yeah, I don't need God.
Yeah. So I don't need to believe that you exist
So don't.
because I don't need to consider yourself you're important enough in this life.
But you comparing something that you can see right now in front of you to something that is imagined somewhere else.
Imagined?
Yeah, pretty much.
What color is gravity?
Whatever you imagine it to be.
And
If
whatever
you
your
imagine it
community
green, then
agrees.
it's gonna be green.
But you believe in it.
If
You
your
imagine it and
community-
you believe in it.
If the community agrees.
You believe in gravity without seeing what color it is. Without your senses telling you,
Can it be proven though?
of course not.
Can gravity be proven?
Have we found gravitons? The units of gravity?
Well, then you would suggest that it's a particle.
Have we demonstrated that through any evidence? Have we proven it in the lab? Of course we
Proven
have.
God?
We're talking about gravity. You believe in
You're
gravity.
talking about God and you compare it to gravity. It's not the same thing.
The reason I am saying this is this. I'll tell you why.
And I never said I believe in
Gravity-
You just assume.
So why
it's a
does
very
that thing
difficult
fall?
situation if it's a strong
You know,
man.
when you drop the ball, why does it fall on the ground?
Because it has its own thoughts and feelings.
Yeah, is that what you believe? Do you believe in that?
No, I didn't say it. You
Okay, why
copy
does it
him.
fall on the ground?
Because it
Beginning to
does.
see it. He's
Because
I
it
don't-
does. Is this a good enough rational explanation?
He's taking his
Do I have
position.
to understand everything and I have to prove that I understand everything?
see-
in order to say, oh, I don't believe in God.
Just
I
to
mean,
demonstrate
you
better.
expect way too much
These arguments
of
are absurd.
my rationale why I don't even believe in God, whilst you gave me no reason to believe in one.
Now, I asked you the reason for
tried
your
to-
non-belief, then I can understand.
I don't have
Wait,
to tell you. I just told you that it's my choice. If I said that this
Then
is
how
my
can
choice, then
someone
I'll
even
believe-
give you any reason to believe? Because it's your choice at the end of the day.
If you are able to convince me that there is one,
Well, how can we
absolutely fine.
convince someone when your conviction doesn't come from any reasoned approach? It's only choice.
There are reasons I have and that I don't have to tell you.
This is what he's asking. Give us how did you come to that?
You asking me to excuse myself why I don't believe in God, that nobody proved God's existence. How can you be so entitled to expect me to prove you that God doesn't exist, which you can't prove in the first place that He
Who
does?
said we can't prove God exists?
So prove it.
Hang on. Where did you get the idea from God cannot be proven?
Sorry?
Where did you get this understanding that God is beyond any proof or evidence?
Can I see God? No. Can I
So let's understand.
experience
So
God?
you're
No.
so,
I don't have personal. That's why I'm saying.
Two things you've
religion
already
is a
said.
Personal experience. It's something.
so you
it's
mentioned
a-
about
it's
two
a
things.
choice.
The criteria they've mentioned already. Can I see God? Can I experience God? So you're putting God into your reasons
You've been doing
that
that
you have
for
to
the
see.
last
You have to see Him.
hour or so,
You have to
trying
experience
to
Him.
make God material and compare it to
Okay.
material items being produced
Have
by other people.
Have you
that-
seen my brain?
I can see very well.
No, you haven't seen my brain because I haven't shown you any X-ray images or MRI images of my brain. So you haven't seen my brain. And
We can agree it doesn't exist.
So you believe I don't have a brain, right? So you believe I don't have a brain because you haven't seen it.
I don't see it perform.
Sorry?
I don't see it perform.
Your criteria
But
was
I believe you're
in
moving around, so you
the
must.
criteria in accepting to believe there is a God, you have to see Him. You believe I have a
I
brain.
did not say that this is a condition, and all of a sudden.
You mentioned it. Did you not mention it? You
I
can't
meant-
see Him.
Because you're asking me to excuse myself why I don't believe in God. That
You gave a reason.
exist.
You can't see Him. You can't see my brain. So according to the extension of your logic, perhaps my brain doesn't exist.
It has to because you're moving around and you're talking. To
Right.
Me, but
The world
I'm not
moves
sure.
around, right? The world moves around. You're moving around in this world. Can this world be a result of absolute nothingness in the distant past?
Yes.
What is absolute nothingness?
Well, it doesn't really exist.
So can it make
Nothingness.
something if it doesn't
Because
exist?
there will be photons
So,
moving.
so
and
can
then-
absolute nothingness, which doesn't exist, make something like you and me?
Why does it have to be made?
Can it originate
It
something?
just happens. Things happen.
Why-
The problem about this is
I
you're
think-
talking about things that are.
I think we are now getting somewhere. If absolute nothingness doesn't exist, can it originate something that does exist, like you and me?
Can you repeat the question? Sorry, I'm a bit tired.
If absolute nothingness doesn't exist,
Yeah.
can it originate, while being non-existent, something like you and me? Or the universe, the cosmos?
Do I know everything? Do I
That's
know?
not my question.
Yeah, pretty much is.
Absolute
You're asking me to
nothingness.
ask-
Absolute
you're
nothingness.
asking me to answer very complex,
Simple question.
physical questions.
No, it's a very simple question.
Well, I'm not really a
You
physicist.
think
It's a very simple question.
Doesn't mean it is simple because you call
It's
it
simple because he already has an answer. God is the answer. If your answer
Who's
is
jumping the
always
gun
God,
now?
Sorry?
I didn't say God. Absolute nothingness.
That's
You
where you're
have spent the
getting.
whole
Absolute,
interview jumping the
absolute
gun.
nothingness is the absence of
To accuse
everything.
this wonderful lady of
Yeah.
such an act is disingenuous.
Absolute nothingness is the absence of everything. Absence of energy, absence of matter, absence of quarks, absence of
I
quanta.
said there is not really absolute
That's what I mean by
nothingness.
absolute nothingness. Can this absolute nothingness, which is non-existent, originate or bring about something which is existent, like you and me?
But how do I know?
Very well. You know it very well already. That's why you're not willing to say it. Because the consequences of telling that is quite shifting in your paradigm of thought. Absolute nothingness, I can tell you that you can assert with 100% certainty, it cannot bring about anything
So,
because it doesn't exist.
but I already said that it doesn't exist. I said there are
So can it-
photons in the vacuum, so there's
I'm not talking about
actual
vacuum.
particles
I'm not talking about
present.
vacuums. I'm talking about absolute nothingness, whereas there is no vacuum, whereas there is no photon, where there is no quantum fluctuations, whereas there is no virtual particles, simply devoid of everything.
But we're basing the whole conversation about the watchmaker fallacy. Why are we even doing this?
I asked you-
tell me that because nothing cannot create something, which is not true. You have antimatter and matter, and you have neutrinos jumping between those
Well,
two.
let's talk about this.
creating
Antimatter.
energy and
Is
a process.
antimatter something or nothing? Is neutrino something or nothing?
I don't know. You tell me.
Something.
That is your definition of
Something.
reality, right?
Something.
I mean, we need objective
No, something.
reality.
I have been consistent with my definition,
You want to know more than
but you have not been
physics.
consistent with your definition. Have you been consistent with your definition?
Not being consistent.
When I say absolute nothing, it's the total devoid of antimatter, photons, neutrino, quarks, hadrons, leptons, gluons, everything.
But you're asking me a question about
I asked you-
nothingness that was supposedly 14 billion 14 billion years before I was even alive.
There was not nothingness. There was something always.
Like you know the answer now. What happened?
Do you know why I know the answer? Because
you believe it.
No.
I don't.
No.
You believe you
Not
know
because
the
of that.
answer.
You
I
believe it because your
you will
community
never
believes
know
not
the
because of
answer.
that. Not because of
You
that.
believe it because your community
If
believes
something
it.
exists now,
That's why it's
there
true.
cannot be absolute nothingness in the past. That's why I believe.
Why?
Because absolute nothingness cannot make something, originate
How
something.
do you know that?
That's what we're arguing.
If I have, to give you, let me illustrate what I mean by that. My friend who's not here,
Why people used to believe that if it's raining from a cloud, that is
Sure.
nothingness really. That there's a cloud, looks like nothing, it's not solid, it's a gas. How come it's raining? People had an idea about that.
you understood what I mean
It
by
was
absolute
debunked.
nothingness, right?
So there will be eventually time
Firstly-
where God and His existence
Firstly,
will be debunked.
firstly, you understand what I mean by absolute nothingness. Am I
No, I
right?
don't really know, because you're asking me very complex questions about physics
So,
and quantum physics.
when I say
and
nothing-
things happening 14
Okay.
years
I have
ago,
a
that
wallet.
is only a theory.
I have a
and
wallet.
I would never know the
I have a wallet
answer.
in my pocket. If I said I have no money, nothing, what do you understand by that?
And that's what this lady's saying.
That you have to get a job.
No. How much money do I have?
I don't know, and I'm not
I said
investing.
nothing, no money. So how much money do I have?
It depends how much material items you have that you could sell.
No.
And how much
In my-
energy
in my
you
wallet-
create through getting a job and
In
working.
my wallet, if
That's
I
your
said,
money, whatever money you can create over your lifetime.
if
that
I
is your
said
money.
in my wallet I have no money, how much money do I have in my wallet?
Who called it blind?
I just answered that question. You asked
Which
me the
is?
exact same question.
What is the
over and
answer?
over again.
What is the answer?
The answer will be not different. I just answered this question. I said that you have as much money as you're capable of creating, as you're capable of earning, as you're capable of taking whatever you have on top of you and selling it. That's how much.
How many?
No,
How
now-
many?
I'll give you. Now you have money. This is money. So,
How many cat is in your cup?
sorry?
How many cat is in your cup?
Cut.
C-A-T, cat. Dog, cat. How many cat is in your cup? Real life cat.
Go have a look.
I'm asking you.
2 right now.
Okay, nice talking to you. Take care.